Welcome to Pammie's Craft Hut. In this video, we will be exploring to construct a macrame shoulder bag with metallic t-shirt yarn. Complete with a zipper, this elegant and classy shoulder bag will measure 22.5 cm wide, 13 cm in depth, and 36 cm in height, including its handle, else 19 cm in height on just the body of the bag. This bag is great to be worn for any festive occasion, or it can be used as a normal bag on just any other day. With a zipper, you will be certain that all the items you placed in it will be kept safe. I have made the bag with t-shirt yarn for that extra stretchy feel, but you can replace it with the usual macrame cord. For the main bag's body, we will need 52 pieces of 210 cm yarn. I will pin the middle point for every 2 yarns and have a square knot constructed. Have a total of 26 such square knots created. Do have with you a piece of 25 cm zipper. Mine is longer than 25 cm, but we will be altering the length nonetheless. We will now be sewing the square knots to the zipper. Have the stitch sewn on only the 2 filler yarns beneath the square knot. The knot should be about half a cm above the closed zip. It will be easier to handle if you would tie an alternating square knot on the second row. We will sew 13 knots on each side of the zipper. Ideally, the tip of the square knot should just reach below the zipper line in the center. Constructing the handle next. Do have 8 pieces of 350 cm and 2 pieces of 70 cm ready. Arrange all the 8 pieces of yarn together. From the tip, we will measure out to the 110 cm point. Next, with a piece of 70 cm yarn, we will make a wing knot. After the wing knot, still working on the longer side of the yarns, divide the yarns into 4 sets of 2 yarns. Have the wing knot held between your finger. Place 2 yarns to the top, 2 yarns to the left, 2 yarns to the bottom, and 2 yarns to the right. Take the yarns on the right and place it over the bottom. Then, take the bottom yarns and place it over the left yarns. Again, have the left yarns now placed over the top yarns. And lastly, have the top yarns placed into the original hole where you have created between the right and the bottom yarns. Pull from all 4 sides till you get a neat square. Continue tying until you have reached a desired handle length. I have mine at 42 cm excluding the wing knots. Fitting on the handle to the bag's body. Arrange out the yarns. Find the middle 4 yarns and have a square knot done. Following on, have 2 square knots done on the second row. Then on the third row, for the handle, take the 2 last yarns from the back body and the 2 last yarns from the handle. We will form a square knot on both left and right side of the handle. With the remaining 4 yarns in the center of the handle, we will make a square knot. The handle is now incorporated into the main back body. From the underside, where the end of the zipper is, we will sew down the zipper to the handle. We will now do the same for the other end of the handle, but first we will need a piece of 70 cm yarn to tie a wing knot. Similar to the other end of the handle, we will do a square knot on the first row after the wing knot, followed by 2 square knots on row 2 before tying onto the bag's main body. Before attaching the handle, I have also sewn some stitches about 1 cm from the end of the last knot on the zipper. This is to prevent the zipper from opening any further from this point. I will cut away the rest. We continue to attach the handle by making the 2 square knots on both sides of the handle with the yarns from the back. Again, we will stitch the end of the zipper to the square knots which we have just created. This is optional, but if you would like to hide the stitches, you may sew on piping over it. Please do ensure that the sewing does not obstruct the opening for the zipper to slide. Now that we have completed the top part of the bag, go on and do alternating square knots. We should have already done 2 rows now, so continue until row 15. Now, check if you have 15 rows. Ignore the additional rows which I've done. I have done them so to better illustrate to you for understanding. Open the zipper so that you can lay the bag on its side. Find the side square knots. At row 15, you should have 2 knots. Take a yarn each from both square knot and make a crisscross. You will need 2 pieces of 100 cm yarn now. At the crisscross, do 2 lark's head knot. Thereafter, tighten the side yarns. The added lark heads knot would be aligning itself to row 16. On both sides of the lark's head knot, continue with the alternating square knots. By the 17th row, all square knots will join up continuously. Do the same process for the other side. Once you are done with both sides, continue with square knots all the way to row 30. Once you have completed till row 30, we find the side center again. At row 30, you should again have 2 side square knots. Take 2 yarns from each side of the square knot and tie up lightly. Thereafter, we will take the immediate 16 yarns and make 4 square knots. Continue with 3, 2, 1 square knot on the same set of yarns till you form a V shape. Once completed, tie all the yarns up lightly. Repeat this for all the 4 sides of the bag. After completing the 4 sides, there are now some remainder yarns on the center, front and back of the bag. From the remaining yarns, lightly tie up the first and last 4 yarns. Now, with the remaining yarns, make 4 rows of square knots, with the first row having 5 knots, then 4, 3, 2 knots on the subsequent rows, forming a V shape. Once completed, tie all the yarns up lightly. Do the same process for the other side. Completing the base now. Have the bag flipped over and we will start to work on the side of the bag. Untie the 4 yarns and tie a square knot. Then, do also untie the immediate yarns on the left and right of the square knot. Back to the square knot which we have just made. Retaining only the filler yarns, we will use yarns from both sides and have square knots tied. Do leave out the leftmost and the rightmost yarn for every knot. Retain only the filler yarns. In total, including the initial square knot, you should have 9 square knots. Continue to tie up this way. There should be a total of 6 joinings. As there are too many strings around, I would normally like to retain only the filler yarns. For all the completed square knots, rightmost and leftmost yarns, I will have a simple knot tied close to the square knot and have it trimmed off. By the simple knot, I believe it keeps the square knots interlocked. After all the joinings and trimmings, you should have 2 filler yarns from each joining. On the front and back of the bag, there would also be 4 yarns. Next, we will work to make the hole smaller. So, from the 4 yarns on the back and front of the bag, make 1 square knot on each side. Closing up the last slit. Placing the side of the bag in front of you, have both filler yarns from both sides of the bag crossed. We will now use the 8 yarns on both sides to make square knots. A crochet needle would be helpful to complete this task. completing the 8 square knots, pull the 2 filler yarns tight. At both ends, make a square knot to secure it. I would then make simple knots for all the yarns and trim away the rest. And we have completed our bag with a beautiful star-shaped joining base. Thank you for watching and staying true to this point. I hope you have enjoyed this project as much as I have. Please support me by subscribing to my channel and hitting the bell icon to get notified on my new content. And if you like my videos, please excite me with the like button and also share the video with your friends.